The Venezuelan people believe that there is no justice in their land. They believe that there is no respect for law in their country, and they are right. And what about their economy? Well, according to the International Monetary Fund, the inflation in Venezuela last year was around 800%. 800%. And the inflation projection for this year is 1,600%. This is not sustainable, Mr. Speaker, especially when press reports are so visual when they show that Venezuelan people are scavenging for food. They don't have any money, and they're actually leaving their country in order to find food. Venezuela has only a little over $10 billion worth of foreign reserves, but yet it owes $7 billion in outstanding debt payments. This tells us, Mr. Speaker, that we have sadly not yet hit rock bottom in Venezuela, and the situation will get worse, which is why it is so important that we begin the process to bring democratic reforms to the country now in order to prevent a larger crisis that is looming in the future. One way to achieve this, Mr. Speaker, is to impose sanctions on human rights violators. Mr. Speaker, more targeted sanctions against those individuals who are responsible for the famine and the human rights violations that are ongoing in Venezuela are desperately needed. Let's examine some of the individuals who I believe should be on the sanctions list. First off, we have Michael Moreno. This individual, months ago, used Venezuela's kangaroo courts and ratified the unjust sentence against political prisoner Leopoldo Lopez. And how was he rewarded by the Maduro regime? He was appointed to be the president of the Supreme Justice Tribunal. Just appalling. Next up, Marcos Torres. Marco Torres is the Venezuelan Minister of Food. Let's examine his awful track record. The food shortages in Venezuela are rampant, and it is difficult for the people to feed themselves or their families. To make matters worse, Mr. Speaker, press reports indicate that Venezuelans are eating from trash in the street just to survive. The Venezuelan people deserve better. Next, we have Jose Vilora Sosa. This gent right here, he's the director of the military prison of Ramo Verde. This decrepit character is responsible for the inhumane treatment and abusive tactics against human rights activist Leopoldo Lopez. And lastly, Susana Barrios Rodriguez. In 2015, she was the judge of the 28th Trial Circuit Court of Caracas, who was the one who originally unjustly sentenced Leopoldo Lopez to jail. We must provide a voice for those whose rights continue to be trampled and take swift and decisive actions, such as imposing sanctions on all of these regime officials and many more who facilitate those abuses. When it comes to the tyrannies in Cuba and Speaker, we must have a clear vision and a clear understanding of the nature of these rogue regimes that do not respect the rule of law, do not respect freedom of expression, and do not respect any kind of human dignity. Thank you for the time.